Hi everyone, it's me. I want to talk about at first sight, and this is when you are going through parental alienation and you know that you're going to be seeing your estranged child for the first time, and whether it's a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, etc. And why, if someone would choose to be estranged from me and they knew I was going to be somewhere, why they would choose to be in the same room with me. I don't understand the psychology behind that. If I didn't want to see someone, I simply would not attend an event where they would be in in presence. I just wouldn't. There's plenty of other places I can go, but anyway, when there's an estrangement, family and friends know about it because it's discussed either by the parent or the child. And so I'm not saying that alliances are formed, but they kind of are. And people that in your family and friendship circles that don't like you will align with your estranged child. Just the way it is. You'll kind of know because I personally have wonderful friends and a wonderful husband. If I knew someone was anti my husband and didn't want to see him, I certainly would not align with them and support them. I would simply back off and keep my distance because I would not want to see my husband in pain, or my friends or people that I love. I wouldn't want to see them in pain. So I couldn't support that kind of behavior. So you'll notice that first and foremost. And I've had family members that have aligned with my estranged children and have maintained relationships with them. And I believe encourage them to continue the estrangement and, and people that don't like you or that have hatred towards you will encourage the estrangement in order to continue to hurt you, because a lot of people will say the main way people can get you is through your children, whether it's your ex-spouse or siblings or whatever. And I've had a sibling, my oldest sister, tell me, yeah, well, your children don't talk to you. And I and after a while it's kind of like, yeah, that's right, they don't, and they have that right not to, but those are hateful words and hurtful words. And when you have been through it for so long, you kind of prepare for things like that, and you kind of then stay away from those types of people. But anyways, my Nana turned 100 2 years ago, and shortly after her birthday, she was not feeling good, went to the doctor, and we were told she has congestive heart failure. So she was put on respite care, and she was in her home. We are very fortunate she lived and passed away in her home where she loved and where we lived and loved and had family events and parties and things like that. Sorry. I thought she was going to live forever, but anyways, anyways, Graham lived to 100 right after that. And so I tell my sisters, call my daughters and let them know Grandma's passing away so they can come and say goodbye. So I kind of had opened the door, and lo and behold, I'm sitting, I'm with my grandma. I was there every single day until she passed. And I'm sitting on one side of her lap, and my youngest daughter walks in, and she sits on the opposite side of my grandma's lap, 2 feet from me. This is my daughter, who I had not seen in years. Now is married, has children, and I said, A, that's the first initial of her first name. Grandma's been waiting to see you. And she would not look at me. She ignored me. She wouldn't acknowledge me. She wouldn't even make eye contact. And I have proof of this because someone recorded, one of my family members recorded the interaction between my daughter and myself. And you can see my daughter just looks at her phone and looks away. And so we're in the same room, 2 feet from one another. My heart's pounding, and I'm thinking, what should I do? Because when you're faced with your estranged child for the first time in years, you think if I say hi, they might run. If I try to give them a hug, they might run. It might cause the estrangement to become even further apart or deeper. And it's almost like the person who chooses to break up and walk away takes the power with them. And so they have power over the person who they have left shattered, laying on the floor. And then that person is always wondering, if I make a move, if I breathe, if I look at them, it could cause them to run. And the last thing I do is want them to run. So what do I do? A lot of people, I'm in different groups and they say, I'm going to see my child at a wedding, at his sister or brother's wedding. What do I do? Do I say hi? Do I not say hi? And we're sitting there wondering how do we interact with our estranged child and maybe get them to even talk with. So it's like they've taken the power, they've walked away with it, and we're sitting there wondering. So they've kind of become the adult and we've kind of become the children, and there's a power shift. And all I'm telling you is that it's time for the shift to come back around, because I talked to my daughter. She ignored me. She was in the same living room with me at my grandma's house, and she talked to everyone else and showed them pictures of her children, said their names, would sit at a table in the other, and I'm in the same house with her, and I can't approach her because, God forbid, I say something or breathe or make her even angrier. And finally, 2 days, I'm dealing with this for 2 days. And the third day, I said to my sisters, if they show up at grandma's house again, I'm going to say something. My oldest sister said, if you talk to her or approach them, I'm going to call the cops. And I said, you better call the cops, because it's on like Donkey Kong. It's not, this is it. I am not doing this anymore. If you're in the same room with me, I'm going to acknowledge you. I gave birth to you. I'm going to acknowledge you. That's all there is to it. Third day I go, my grandma passed away. My daughters were not there when I was there. But the day of the funeral, both of them showed up, sat with my oldest sister. My mother goes up and talks to them and says, you need to go say hi to your mom and give her a hug or something along those lines. And they said, we don't have to, we're adults. And it just showed the true nature of the lack of anything kind and loving or in forgiveness. So you have to understand, me personally, I don't regret being by my grandma's side during her last final days. What soured it is my daughter came and took away my opportunity to grieve in peace, because she hadn't had a relationship with my grandma for years. She probably just showed up for face value to say, oh, at least I showed up. But she hadn't had a relationship with her. She hadn't allowed her children to get to know my grandmother, who was loving and kind, obviously, because she showed up to say her last final goodbyes. But if you're an estranged child, that's fine, you're estranged, but don't take these moments away from your parents and just don't show up. And parents who are in this situation, don't give them the opportunity to control the room and control the situation anymore. If you want to say hi, go say hi. Let them know through family members who talk to them. If they show up, I'm going to talk to them. Let them know I'm going to try to have a conversation with them. They can walk away, but they'll have to leave the house if they want to get away from me, and they'll have to leave the situation and leave me in peace. You want to leave and you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. Don't show up at places I'm going to be. It's just that simple. Even if someone's passing away, someone I've had a relationship with for 50 years, you don't have to be there. We don't have to hang out. You don't have to see me. If you don't want to see me, don't show up at a place and sit next to me. Just doesn't make sense. This whole estrangement doesn't make sense unless someone's been abused and beaten and sexually, emotionally, mentally abused. But don't show up, and you don't want to see your parent. Don't see your parent. Don't show up. And parents, take your rights back away as human beings. Don't allow someone the opportunity. Don't be afraid to breathe in the same room as your kids, or say hi, or walk up, or try to give them a hug. If they don't want a hug, they'll say, I don't want a hug. But don't be afraid. Take your power back. Take your rights back as a human being. Don't allow anyone the opportunity to make you feel less than and to question what you should do when you walk into a room. Don't do that anymore. That's all I've got to say about it. I'm sorry I'm charged about this, but my moment with my grandmother when she was passing away was I was kind of robbed of the ability to just grieve in peace. Honor. You don't have to be in the same room with your parents, but just give them at least that. If their parent's passing away and you want to see your grandparent who's passing away because you've had a relationship, message your other family members and say, hey, if you're an estranged child, you want to see a grandparent who's passing away, send a message to other people, to your parent, and say, hey, I'm going to be there from 5 to 6, whatever. And then when you go there, if your parent talks to you, the least you can do is say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry, your beloved mother, grandma, dad is has passed away. I'm sorry. That's all you got to do. I mean, that's all people want. It's sympathy when someone passes away. So that's all I've got to say about it. Don't allow your estranged child to control the situation. Take your control back and walk in your room, head held high. Talk to people you like, and if you see them, walk up and say hi. Estranged children, this is going to happen. So know that you can't control the situation forever, and one day your parents are going to be sick of it and say, you know what, to hell with it. We're in the same room. If you don't want to talk to me, you can leave, because I'm not going anywhere. So that's all I've got to say about it. And I hope everyone's having a good day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.